And I think I want those background graphics to show back up. So this time I switched my color, I went to white paint, I clicked back on the background graphic. I'm going to have those show up. I think they kind of look like hair, curls of hair. So they're actually leaves, but I think we'll leave those there. So I'm going to look at my reference graphic again to see what we're missing, what else we need on the design. So now we're ready to work on the graphics for the cheek and the forehead. This time I need to place a new image. I think I need to use something different than what I've been using before. So I went to File, and I'm going to save my image before taking it any further. To File, Place Embedded, and I found this ivy design that I'm going to use. But the bad news is this one is not a transparent image, and I need to do some cleanup work on it to get rid of this white background. Kind of looks like a mustache. So I'm going to use the feature of Select Subject and see how well it does in selecting what we need. It doesn't quite do what we need, so I'm going to do File Inverse or Select Inverse, and I'm going to click my Delete button, and it actually did get rid of most of the white background. But the bad news is I lost a little bit of the detail on the image. So I clicked Select, Deselect, and now I can see what I have left to work with. It's actually a very fine detailed ivy, so I have a hard time clicking on the right thing. So I might need to zoom in and use my Move tool very precisely on moving the ivy. So if we zoom in really close, we're going to see that maybe I erased some part of it. I could always take more time with this, but for now I think this will work great. So I'm just trying different placements, trying to figure out what size to make this and how to rotate it, where to put it. I end up making multiple copies of this, changing the color of it, adding an outline, and doing several different things. But this is just kind of a process. I'm not really sure how I want this to look just yet. Okay, I think that size looks pretty good. So I go ahead and I click the check mark in the options bar or grab another tool to apply the transformation. And then this time I'm just going to go ahead and use my good old-fashioned eraser tool to erase away parts of this graphic that I don't want. Instead of doing and using a layer mask, I'm just going to use the eraser tool. So I've decided I want to erase away part of it. Now I'm going to duplicate it. So this process actually took me a really long time. I put this in fast forward 20 times the normal speed. As you can see, I tried all sorts of rotations and different design effects with this vine, and I've kind of got something that I'm okay with. And what I've done now is add a layer effect with a yellow outline. And now that I've added color on there, it almost feels like way too much design going on. So I'm using my eraser tool to come back on top of these graphics and just simply erase away the parts I don't want. Then I'm going to add the same layer effect or layer style to each of these layers with the vines. So they're treated in the same way and they have the same look and feel. So after you've decided on a layer style that you really like, there's a great way to duplicate it without putting in so much work. You go to Layer, Layer Style, Copy Layer Style. You click on the new layer. You go back to Layer Style and click Paste Layer Style. So you don't have to remember all the steps that you did on the previous style. You can copy the style from one layer over to the other. It's just kind of hidden underneath the menu and takes some time to find because it's like a couple layers in. That was a lot of using the word layer. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is you can design a layer style that's very custom and have multiple steps, and then you can copy it and paste it to another layer without starting over from scratch and without going through all those steps one at a time. So I'm going to do some cleanup work here with my eraser tool, and I'm not going to make you watch it all. So I put this in fast forward and I cropped out about 30 minutes of me doing this. My next step is to take the designs on my chin and my forehead and add a layer style to them to add a pop of color. But when I do this, I find I have some cleanup work to do. I didn't quite erase things like I should completely and hide them with my layer mask. So I'm going to make a dramatic outline on this for a moment to help me with a little cleanup work. So I'm just picking a color that I can really see well. I'm trying different color combinations, different sizes of outlines. And as you can see, there's little specks of orange up above my head and on top of my head. That just means I need to do some cleanup work with my brush. I need to paint the color black on the layer mask. So I have to click on the layer mask. And where I paint black, it will hide it, and where I paint white, it makes it show up. So the design is still there, it's just hidden. So I'm going to do some cleanup work here and on the chin graphic. I'm going to fast forward this process so you don't have to watch it all. Now that I've got all the cleanup work done, I've decided it looks kind of plain. I was wearing a very plain shirt when I took this picture. So I've decided to go ahead and duplicate another design and put it in the front of my image. So I'm trying to get my layers in the proper order, and I've duplicated that background graphic, and I'm going to make it something bright and cheery, something crazy bright, orange or hot pink, and I'm going to transform it and move it, rotate it a little bit so it doesn't look exactly the same as the other one. And I just wanted to kind of have design everywhere on this. Just kind of wanted to go over the top, make it really intricate and interesting to look at. So I'm just trying different placements on this. I'm going to kind of fix the stretching that happened when I resized it. When I get it where I like it, I'm going to also put one at the top of the image to kind of act like a frame as well. So when you get the shape the way you want, you click the check mark in the options bar, or simply click on another tool and it will apply the change that you made. So I've duplicated the layer now, and I'm going to bring it to the top. Man, this is looking good. I like the ornate design that's happening. I feel like it looks a little flat. So I want to add a layer style to these frame images. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to rename my layers because I'm getting a lot of them to keep track of. So we can add a layer style by clicking on the shortcut in the layers palette, going to the layer menu and clicking on layer style. And I'm going to try a couple different color combinations here on an outline and an overlay to see what looks good. The nice thing is you have lots of options here and you can preview all of them. And if you use one and you decide to change it later, it's really easy to get back in your layer styles and change them. And the good news is now that I've got one the way I want it to be, we can go and we can copy the layer style and apply it to the other one by going to layer, layer style, copy layer style, and click on the new layer, And then we go to layer, layer style, and paste layer style. This is a really easy thing to forget because you have to go so deep in the menu to make it work, but it saves so much time. So I've done a lot of work here. It's important that I save often so that I continue to save my file and my progress.